Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Chipp's Wall Running Academy, where we help young ninjas get the most out of their wall running. Today, we're not only going to teach you how to wall run, but when to wall run. Chipp's wall running mechanic has to be the least intuitive mechanic in the entire game. It's easy for it to come off gimmicky and hard to find the applications on your own. I'm here to help you out, so let's dive right into it. We're going to break this lesson up into two main sections: the wall running on its own and wall running combos on its own. I also want to warn you guys that I am going to go fast for the sake of time in this video, but please feel free to rewatch the video, pause it, rewind, whatever you need to do, and I will leave the time steps down below. First, let's start at ground zero for everyone. How do you do wall running, and what are the rules for wall running? There's two main ways to start wall running. The first way is to air dash into a wall and continue holding the dash button or whatever you use to input your air dash. The second way to start wall running is to use either punch or kick alpha blade and hold whatever button that you press to start the alpha blade. Once you've started wall running, there's three main arcs that you can take on your way dismounting from the wall: straight down, down into the side, and upward into the side. To dismount directly down, you press either 3 on the D-pad or 1 on the D-pad, depending on which wall you're dealing with. In the case of jumping up and away from the wall, it would be either 7 or 9. Housekeeping rules to keep in mind is that once you've double jumped with Chipp, you no longer have access to your air dash, so your only option for now starting a wall run is to use punch alpha blade. Later on, when doing more advanced setups, it's going to be important to keep track of how many jumps you've already used, so you know what's the best way or only way that you can start a wall run, and so you won't make misinputs or make mistakes to leave yourself open. Cool, now that we know how to start a wall run, let's talk about the three main things that wall running can do for you. In this order, wall running can be used to A. Continue pressure with the combo reset, B. To trap your opponent in a corner and allow yourself to escape, and C. To mix up your opponent both standing or not down. First, let's talk about how wall running can be used to continue pressure. First, Chipp's jumping K is one of the best air-to-air buttons in the entire game. It comes out really quickly, it's multi-hitting, and has great range. It can be used as a way of catching someone in the air, but more importantly, it can be Gatling into the jumping dust button. Gatling is just a fancy way of just saying comboing or pressing the next button. Once you've Gatling into dust, it will knock your opponent down into the corner of the screen, and you can now cancel dust into an air alpha blade. That alpha blade can then be hard held to start a wall run. Once the wall run starts, you can quickly dismount from the wall and fall down with any aerial of your choice to then continue your pressure on your opponent. If you do it correctly, you can still keep yourself safe from a mashing opponent. You can do this with essentially any jumping aerial with Chipp. However, one of my favorite ways of doing it is the jump K, jump dust Gatling. Now that we have our opponent soundly in the corner, we can move on to plan B. Before explaining this, I would like to stress that this is probably one of the hardest aspects about playing Chipp. It's the fact that you will have to make guesses about what your opponent is going to do next in this situation to try to escape. Here, I'm going to give you the answers as to what you can do for each of these options, but ultimately, it is up to you as the player to make the correct guess and condition your opponent for that situation to occur. First, let's tackle what you can do if you think your opponent is going to try to jump out of the corner. If you notice that your opponent tends to jump out of your pressure around the same moment or same part of your combo every time, you can insert a K or punch alpha blade instead to cancel whatever move you're doing to briefly start a wall run. Now, before the wall run actually starts, you should be holding either 3 or 1 on your D-pad, so the moment that the wall run starts, Chipp will uncling off the wall. You are now free to complete the air throw by either using 6 dust or 4 dust. If you're unsure of the timing in which your opponent would jump, you can just keep the wall run going until the moment that you see your opponent jumps. If your opponent doesn't jump, you can just continue to run up the wall to get out of there. While punch and kick alpha blade work for this situation, I would strongly suggest using the kick alpha blade over the punch alpha blade because the punishment for getting it wrong is less, because punch Being incorrect and your opponent actually mashing instead of jumping will catch punch alpha blade, but will still lose to kick alpha blade. Another method for punishing jumps is to use K alpha blade and to quickly uncling and use heavy slash as a means of like catching them the moment that they're in the sky, and then you could just air dash again to continue the pressure on them. Because wall running can be triggered by using an air dash, anytime you jump in on your opponent in the corner, you have an opportunity to go for either a double overhead mix-up by using the air dash cancel, or using an air dash and triggering a wall run to escape for free. If you're feeling really ballsy, you can go for the air dash and then land and go for a low. On top of that, a small tip that kind of works sometimes is that you can use the wall run to run up the wall and to bait your opponent into attempting to run out of the corner, and then you can quickly come back down with K alpha blade to catch them on their way out. So it's a great way of baiting your opponent into thinking that they have the space to run out of the corner, but then coming back down and catching them and they're not able to block because of the cross up. Now we're going to go over options for if you have an opponent that wants to mash to get out of the corner. You could punish an opponent that wants to mash to get out of the corner by using K alpha blade and then unclinging off the wall and using a heavy slash or whatever move of your choice on the way down. The important part here is running up the wall just enough so that you have enough time to start your move and to land on them with it and not to get hit out of it. Great, now that we finished plan A, getting our opponent to the corner, and completed plan B, making our opponent scared to mash or jump out of our pressure in the corner, we're now free to run our mix-ups using wall running. It's imperative that you set up plan B before you go into plan C, because you can't use punch alpha blade to get behind your opponent unless you scare them into not mashing. If you feel like you can't scare your opponent into not mashing by using plan B, first you can just knock down your opponent, and then that frees up your ability to now use punch alpha blade. A basic but strong punch alpha blade mix-up is to knock down your opponent and immediately start the running animation for punch alpha blade, and then after a few seconds to use either 9 or 7 to jump to the other side of your opponent and go for a low. Depending on how long you run up the wall, you either land behind their opponent or in front of the opponent. Another basic example you can use is to knock your opponent down and immediately go into punch alpha blade and dismount by using either 1 or 3 to land directly behind them and then jump straight up. This allows you to land with the normal. Once you get used to those, you can now start adding in the dash button to make it even harder to deal with once your opponent starts adapting. Now it's time to go into the wall running combo section of the lesson, but before you go into that, if you guys have learned anything so far in this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It'll help me grow and it'll help us grow so I can continue to make great content. Without further ado, let's get into it. So first, let's start with how can you do a wall running combo? The easiest way to do a wall running combo is to upward Roman cancel any move while in the corner. To do an upward Roman cancel, you press the up on the D-pad while also pressing the dash button and Roman cancel at the same time. The reason why you use the up Roman cancel is because it pops the opponent slightly higher than a normal Roman cancel would. From there, you can either start the wall run by just running up to the wall, or by starting it with a punch alpha blade and holding it. Once you see the wall running animation start, you can take your hands off the D-pad altogether because Chipp is going to take off on his own. He is now on autopilot. Now the only thing you are responsible for is hitting the buttons that you would like to hit your opponent with. I like to start my wall runs by using the kick button because it's really quick and is also I can use it over and over again until I feel like I've stabilized the combo. If you wanted to, you could do all kicks for your wall running combo and just leave it at that. But what I like to do is after I do 1 to 2 kicks, I now start using slashes. Now for the next question, when can you do wall running combos? So you can do wall running combos anytime you land a hit and you have enough meter to do a Roman cancel. And then you do your upper Roman cancel in the corner and you're able to do what we just talked about. Another time when you can start a wall running combo is when you get a counter hit 2 heavy slash. When you get counter hit 2 heavy slash, you have enough time to start punch alpha blade and then start running up the wall and stabilizing it with either kick or slash. Fun fact, if you didn't know, if you land the command grab with Chipp in the corner, you can also upward Roman cancel that to then run up the wall and start a wall combo that way as well. Now when it comes to utility, yes, the wall running combo is flashy and it looks cool, but one thing that it's really good for doing is that it really creates a lot of value for Chipp using 6K. 6K is a move that doesn't really combo into anything, but in the corner, 6K can lead to massive damage because you can just upward Roman cancel it and now get a full combo off of it. Another thing that's cool about the wall running combos as well is that Chipp is now using the regular Gatling system from previous Guilty Gears, where you can go from punches to kicks to slashes to heavy slashes. It's really cool because it gives you a glimpse of how Guilty Gear used to be, going from any button and increasing priority or order. And the last miscellaneous use for wall running combos that I found so far too is that it can also be used as a method for catching someone's jump as well. So if you're in a corner and you think your opponent's going to jump, you can use a punch, alpha blade, start running up the wall and catch them with either a kick or a slash and take them up the wall that way as well. I'm not really sure if that's something that they can block. I had trouble really testing it, but it's a great way of being able to continue to pressure someone when they're trying to escape.